Welcome to your Spiritual Besties podcast. I'm Lauren Ledoux.
And I'm Rashida McCoy. We're here to laugh, cry, learn, and connect with you.
We discuss anything and everything from our everyday lives to the magical, mystical, and woo-woo.
So take a deep breath, grab a cup of tea,
and set an intention to receive, because you deserve it, bestie. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, Lauren. How are you today?
I'm great. My hair is curled.
Mine is too.
I know, it looks really cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was like, how long have these braids been in my hair? Might be time to, you can have a mom style and it just works.
Mm-hmm.
You just keep it. But thank you. I love yours as well.
You're welcome. I'm just, trying to look as good as I feel inside. No, not really. Usually my hair is in like a messy mom bun, and funny story, I don't know, maybe it's funny to me, maybe people will relate, but like after Gemma was born, my hair was up on top of my head in a messy bun all the time, and my scalp started hurting so bad after
tension,
a while. Yeah, but I
yeah.
couldn't just let my hair go down because it was like, not nice. It was greasy and messy and, hard to keep up with like the new momming. So I got one of those like heatless curl headbands and started doing that. And it was like around the same time we were doing Dharma Coaching Institute and we're on calls all the time. And I was like, okay, I cannot look at myself on Zoom anymore with this.
I gotta change it up.
Yeah. And those things are miraculous if you have, my hair texture, which is just super straight and lanky. So anyway,
What's it again?
like a heatless curler headband. So you wear it to bed and then
You wake up and take it out and it's curls.
yeah, and it's nice and it takes like 2 seconds to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which is really helpful if you're a busy mom, but yeah, I was getting like horrible pain from the stupid hairstyle.
Yeah, no, I feel that after I had Macy, I was rocking my fro and I loved my fro. I liked it, but it was still maintenance, like
Mhm.
a lot. And not that locks are any different, but I'd always wanted locks. I had hair loss with Macy, and I was like, you know what? Let me just do it. And I'm so glad. Like there's still maintenance, but it's so versatile and it's still my natural hair and I love it.
Well, they're so beautiful, and I love the color you have in there too. And you always have like cool beads in your hair.
Thank you. But I adorn myself when I can. Not too much though, because Miles is very handsy now.
hmm
Like my little ear studs I keep in, he like will peep them out sometimes and try to grab them. So no dangly earrings yet, but I'm getting there, working on my adornment. It makes me feel like a goddess. So
Yeah,
gotta
totally.
tap into that energy.
For sure. I'll share one more, again, story that's maybe just funny to me, but you'll get it. So when Gemma was a few months old, I was feeling that way. Like, I just want to like zhuzh up a little bit and feeling like, I've been in sweats and hair in a messy bun, no makeup every single day. And I wanted to go get like a couple extra ear piercings because I had my ears double pierced. So I went and got them triple pierced and then got like 2 more cartilage piercings. Just, I don't know. I'm like, let's go all out. Well, I didn't take into account that we co-sleep and I had to sleep on my side.
Oh no.
Yeah, and
So your ears are so sore.
yeah, they just got like super red. They never healed, and I had to take them all out. So I
Oh
just endured this pain for like
no.
no reason out of vanity, and I'm like, it's gonna be like probably years before I can actually do something like this. I kept the triples in, but even those like started irritating me. So, and maybe it's because of where I got it done. It was done by a nurse practitioner, but I will say I got them done at Target.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know Target could do
They
piercings.
do. And it was one of those things where I was getting targeted ads and I was just like, oh, maybe that's how I like embody my inner goddess. And
Oh my
anyway,
goodness. It stuck.
yeah, and like It's so silly because my septum piercing that I had and my nose and other piercings that I've had, I've gone to really nice piercing places and had like really pure gold and it's been fine. But anyway, don't, if you're
Mhm.
co-sleeping with a newborn, don't go get a bunch of ear
No
piercings because
piercings.
it's gonna hurt and it won't heal.
It's gonna hurt, yes. And then when you get a little bit older, they will start like grabbing at you in your sleep. So they'll
Exactly.
pull too.
So now I just have little single studs in and that's where we're staying for now.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that so much. I have to have something in my ears. I haven't done my second holes in a while. They're probably closed, believe it or not. And I will be soon finally getting my nose piercing. I had gotten it
Mm.
done years and years ago, and
Hmm.
I don't remember why I took it out and it closed, but I'm like, I'm ready. So yeah,
Hmm.
just embracing some of those things, really stepping into how I want to feel and what do I want to look like with the adornments that I place on my body. And it's okay
Yeah.
because it's mine and I can do what I want with it.
That's true. It is your body. Um,
Yes.
yeah, we won't go into this today, but there is so much to unpack when it comes to like women and what they choose to do with their bodies. And I've had to go through things like, do I wear makeup? Do I do this? Do I do that? Do I like shave my armpits? Do I shave my legs? Like, what message is this sending? And I've pretty much landed on like, just do whatever the F you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I do whatever the fuck I want. When it's wintertime, don't come looking at my legs or my armpits, especially when it's wintertime. And you know what? Honestly, summertime, depending on how I'm feeling, even if I'm at a
Hmm.
beach, just look away. I mean, it's my body. I don't want to go through the motions of like taking it all off. I mean, I
Yeah,
have it for a reason. I
totally.
keep myself clean, right? And as
Hmm.
long as I do that, I'm all about it. If you let your hair grow long enough, especially on your legs, it kind of doesn't even look like it's there unless you're looking really hard. So,
No, I mean, I haven't shaved my legs in a long time and my armpits are long. I will like trim it up, but I have really sensitive skin and I just feel a lot better not doing that. So I'm gonna have like
yeah.
hairy legs and hairy armpits and hairy whatever.
And you
But,
know what? Our
you know,
husbands are fine with it. And
they
you know what?
are.
They're fine. We're fine. And
Yeah.
it's like teaching our daughters, I think, like
Hmm.
that it's okay. Because I
Yeah.
only started shaving because it's what I saw, not because
Yeah.
I felt any type of way. And I wish I never would have done it.
Well, and it's like a totally new invention anyway, and something like basically that the razor manufacturers just wanted to sell more razors. So it, it's okay, honey. So basically, around the same time, they were trying to sell more razors, and women's fashion changed in the 1920s. Suddenly, their arms are showing.
Mm.
Suddenly, like the knee down is showing. And they're like, hey, this is a great opportunity to, like, yet again, make women feel horrible about their natural bodies and sell a solution to them. So it's funny because we're all programmed to be so used to women being like hairless. And obviously,
But
we're
we're
not.
not.
Like, we're
We're
not.
so not.
Yeah. That being said, like I could give a shit if somebody shaves their legs or armpits or
Yeah, girl, do
eyebrows or like,
you. If
do
that's what you
do
want to
your
do, do
thing.
you. Yeah.
But it's been nice to like unpack some of that and be the age I am now and be like, you know what, whatever. And if some relatives see my hairy legs in the summer for a couple hours, like whatever.
First of all, let's just talk about why is it would be so much bothersome. We're not going to. This needs to be a whole nother conversation. We need to get back on track. We can go off on this, but we're not going to because it's April and we're talking April stuff today.
Happy April. The Easter Bunny's
Woohoo!
coming. It's
They have
Aries
like
season.
Aries season, yes, and it's like in full swing. We go to the library every Wednesday and they have these like little crafts for the adults and the kids. And so I got to make this like little bunting banner thing. It was really cute, little eggs and little bunnies on it.
Oh,
So I'm
cool.
getting in the energy of spring.
I love it. Yeah, and like actual Easter, like according to the wheel of the year was in March, but you know what? Let's embrace the bunnies and the eggs. Let's embrace spring. Let's talk about purpose today.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
So, Rashida and I obviously love talking about purpose and Dharma. And I've noticed like this is the time of year, like, okay, there's a couple less people every week in my yoga class. We might have like set some really great intentions for the beginning of the year, and it's been a few months and we're forgetting about them. So the beginning of each month, really just any time that makes sense to you. Maybe it's the new moon, maybe it's the full moon, maybe it's the beginning of each month. Those are the times when you can be really intentional about what magic you want in your life moving forward. How do you want to move in this world? What are you manifesting? So we're returning to that today with our oracle reading, but specifically focusing on this deck called Find Your Purpose by Jess Sanders. We have used it before in our readings in the past, but today we'll pick a couple cards, riff on them a little bit, see what's coming through intuitively, and then talk about how it's relevant to our own lives. So hope y'all enjoy. If you're at home, I would write down the questions and journal on them for yourself and see what comes up along with the intuitive readings that we're giving.
And
Anything
if
to
you're
add
driving,
before? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and if you're driving, I'll make sure to have them in the show notes so you can get to them after you get home and get settled and create that space for yourself.
Perfect. So I'll go ahead and choose a card. I'm shuffling my deck, seeing when I get the tingles. And okay, let's do it. Ooh. All right, so the card I chose has all these beautiful, colorful hands on it.
Ooh.
And the quote it comes with is, everyone has been made for some particular work, and the desire for that work has been put in every heart. So everyone has been made for some particular work, and the desire for that work has been put in every heart. And the affirmation is, my work is not worth more or less than the work of others. My work is not worth more or less than the work of others. I love this. I think that when we are talking about Dharma and purpose, it can feel so grand. Like, this is your soul's purpose. What are you going to do with your time here before you die? And I think like putting it that way can feel like a lot of pressure to do something grand. I know, like, I've certainly felt it myself in my life. And the truth is, like, when you get up each and every day, like, what brings joy to your heart? And your desires and your joy are the like codes for your purpose. And you get to decide through your work, through your play, through your life, how to express those codes. So that might mean waking up and deciding to go outside and commune with nature for a little while. That's part of your purpose for the day.
Mm.
It's really like following the breadcrumbs and the threads of joy, of heart-centeredness, of service that tell you what to do. And I think sometimes like whether we're tapping into somebody's purpose intuitively, whether we're working on somebody and finding their own purpose, it feels like it should be like, oh, my purpose is that I am a doctor and I work on this or that. And yeah, that might be part of someone's purpose for sure. But really, it's a vibe, it's an
Mm.
energy, it's a frequency, and that can be expressed in so many different ways. And it's beautiful. And I think knowing that takes some pressure off of knowing what purpose is. I've even seen some like pushback against purpose. Like, why do I have to have a purpose? Why can't I just be? Well, guess what? By like being and being in your own energy and being in your truth and sharing that with others, you're in your purpose.
Mhm.
So I love this because it really expands the idea of what it even is, and asks us to tune into our own hearts. Also, like being uh, cleaning someone's house, for instance. I've known people who like that is what they enjoyed doing, and they enjoy doing that for money. there is nothing like more or less than about that particular occupation than somebody who makes 1 million plus a year. They're both in service to humanity. They're both hopefully following their joy. Like maybe the person cleaning the house who it loves it is more in their purpose than somebody making 1 million plus selling their soul or doing something they don't like, right?
Mhm.
So there's no hierarchy in jobs. There really isn't. Everything is needed. I saw a post from somebody on my Facebook today too, who kind of spoke to this, saying like not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. I think in the current social media climate and current economic environment too, there is this pressure to like have a side hustle or be an entrepreneur and quit your job. But that, like, we can't all do that. We're not all meant to do that. And every person in the work that they do is valuable. So I don't know. I'd say like if you are listening to this and maybe you're feeling outside pressure to like quote unquote be in your purpose or to quit your job or to like do something more grand, that it might not be necessary. What's necessary is that you're tuning into your heart and really expressing yourself and what's there. And we've talked about what do we call her? Like Karen from IT or whatever.
Mhm.
Like she could be in her purpose by being kind to everybody that she talks to every day. It doesn't really matter what the actual job is. Have anything to add?
Yeah, so well, you like really talked about that and the Dharma beautifully. Um, and I did want to just like reiterate a few points, especially because it's not a new concept to us, right? But it is new information going out. It's not new information, but it's information going out and reaching people in a different way. And really like stepping outside of thinking that your Dharma, your purpose is a job, like completely take that away.
Hmm.
One that's going to open up so many doors because a lot of times when I have had people come to me seeking what their purpose is, their Dharma, they're thinking that it needs to be a job, a thing that they do for money. And yes, it can be, but it's not. When you talked about like your Dharma, your purpose is a vibe, like I love that. Like you need to have that as a quote because it really is. And also too, like to your point, Lauren, when you were saying like if you're feeling that outside pressure, like if you are feeling pressure to like quit or change or do something, no one should tell you that thing. Like when I work with people and discovering their Dharma or their purpose, I'm not giving them like these situations to go off and quit their job and to try something else. I'm giving you little pieces of yourself that you have not remembered, that you are probably in the muck of like a corporate world and you just cannot find yourself out of that. That doesn't necessarily mean that when we, you know, discover your dharma or find your purpose, it's you quitting. No, it's how you're showing up. It's
Yes.
what you're bringing. Yeah, it's what you're bringing to what you're doing because there have been so many people that say, I love what I do. I just feel lost right now. Right. So, and what was it was like it was in your heart. What was the saying again, Lauren?
Everyone has been made for some particular work, and the desire for that work has been put in every heart from Rumi.
Yes. So when you also think about like this, like everyone has been made for some particular work. There are so many of us out here. There are so many of us, and and we like to categorize things. Like we like to put things in neat little boxes sometimes. I think that's just how our human minds work. But when you think about it, stepping out, the saying, stepping outside of the box, yes, what you're doing can be categorized as this one thing, but the way you bring it to the world, the way you bring it through, the way that be your vibe around it will be something completely different than the next person. Like Lauren and I have had the same training, right? Like we have had the same training and we're doing it in different ways. And that's what I love about like who we are, our individuality. Like your dharma is how you are stepping into your light in this world and shining it on everyone else. And Lauren, you're not going to shine your light the way I shine my light, right? And so
Yeah.
if we think about that, like we should be so empowered to know that you don't have to have a quote unquote purpose or say, this is my purpose. Just like really live your life in a full and authentic way, and you will be in your purpose.
Preach.
Yeah, girl. So that's what I had to say. I really love that card. It just like really reminds me that we all can like do the same thing, do the same training, you know, but our human experiences are just going to be so different. And because of that, because we intuit things the different way, like what we bring into this world is just so different. And it's the best part about that is like the people that are seeking you, Lauren, aren't necessarily going to need my medicine. And the people seeking me aren't going to need your medicine. And that also is like so freeing too, because there's someone for everyone. It's people for everything. So you just have to do your thing and your people will find you as well.
I need to pause and pee.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm all like,
Oh no, it's that tea.
it, it is. Yes, I love all that, Rashida. I'm so with you. So here's the question that goes with this card, and I'll ask it to you, but anyone at home who is listening, maybe you take a moment to pause and journal on this. What kind of work do I feel I have been made for? What kind of work do I feel I have been made for? And I know you and I have touched on this on the pod before, but like what's the most true to you today?
When I think about that, such an open question. Whenever I step into what calls to me and follow the breadcrumbs, I always find different avenues of being able to do what it is that I came here to do. But ultimately and generally, it's to be of service to those, to shine my light in a way that is, truly passionate to me and be the nurturer that I know deep down that I am. And that can take many forms, be it, coaching or, intuitive readings or being a mama, right?
Mhm.
I have always been that nurturer type. And what I love about purpose and Dharma is it doesn't have to stay just this one thing. So, yeah, that is that is the kind of work I'm here to be a nurturer and show up in that way.
Yeah, I love that. I think knowing your archetype or, your overarching vibe of your purpose can be really helpful. Like yours
Mm.
is nurturer. What's your secondary? Is it teacher?
Teacher,
Yeah.
visionary. Yep.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, mine are visionary and nurturer. Let's link to the archetype quiz too. So if anyone wants to um, find out what theirs is, they can. It's through Sahara Rose. So for me, I'm going to talk about just today. My purpose today is to hang out with my daughter and change her diaper and feed her and play with her, to connect with my bestie and connect with other friends, whether it's online or phone calls. My purpose today is to really take care of me. I'm actually going on a spa day, which is really, really exciting because
So excited for
you know,
you.
as moms, we don't really get to do that kind of stuff very often, and it's so necessary. I get to let my husband take care of me. Basically, we're celebrating my birthday today, so I'm gonna celebrate that. My purpose lately, I feel, has been to like love all the different parts of me, especially the ones that I've historically found difficult to love.
Mm,
And I'm feeling how healing that is, and it's helping me show up in my wholeness, in my fullness, so that I can truly be in my purpose. And I also find that the more I share that process, the more others really resonate with it and it helps them heal too. So I always feel like, as far as like work goes, my purpose is always kind of to share what I'm going through and what I'm learning and to allow other people to receive that medicine. So yeah, so many different things. Envisioning the world that I want to see and then aligning my values and my actions with that. It's being present,
mm.
responding in the moment, taking care of me, um, so that I can be a good mom or be a mom who is good sometimes.
I like that reframe.
Yeah. Um, yeah, my purpose right now too is like busting out of this programming, and it has been for a long time, but we'll call it like the good girl programming, and allowing myself to just freaking be me, like whatever that is, and accept that with so much love and compassion, because that's what the divine would do. That's what the divine does. And if I am embodying the divine within me, or the inner goddess, as I would call it, then I'm showing up with a lot of love, a lot of love and a lot of fire.
I love that so much. You said that, oh man, you were like, I'm just, breaking the deconditioning and just like really being me. And when you think about like discovering our purpose,
Mhm.
isn't that what we're doing
Oh
anyway?
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that really truly is you were just finding yourself. And when you know yourself and you find yourself, it's like a no-brainer what your purpose will be, what your
I,
purpose is, what you're here to do.
for sure. And that's why this work is never ending too, because like the non-divine part of ourselves, I'll say, although I think it's all divine, but let's say that the parts of us that change are always changing. Our roles are always
Mm.
changing. We receive new information, so our beliefs might change. There are so many, what we do for work might change. So we're constantly getting to know who this person truly is, and then expressing from there. And it's a beautiful thing. Shall we go to the next card?
Yes. Okay. Let me, me, I like my little piles. All right. This really cool, like, picture of, us, someone at the top, someone at the bottom, kind of like reflecting with the stars. Okay, so you can't work out what you want until you work out who you are. Man, how like perfect does that go into what we were just talking about?
Hmm.
Ben Crowe. Yeah, you can't work out what you want until you work out who you are.
Mm.
Yeah, this is, I don't want to say like this is also like a duh, but it's one of those things. It's like when you realize like the conditioning that you have within yourself and you realize like you've been acting out of like a falsehood
Hmm.
of who you are, the things that you want aren't really yours.
Mm.
The things you want to be, maybe even the lifestyle that you have, they're not really yours. They come from this part of um, wanting to please others or doing what other people think you should do, or just like all this conditioning, right? You can't work out what you want until you work out who you are. And I think that's so beautiful. It was because it's just exactly what we were just talking about. Knowing your true self will create this ease in a way, this allowance. I won't even say ease, but this allowance to like simply allow yourself to follow whatever is calling to you. And whatever is calling to you is what you want
Mm.
because it wouldn't be calling to you. So when we allow ourselves to really dive deep into the depths of who we are, start working out the things that ours or things that we've been holding on to from others, even things from our childhood. And that's why this work is, always ongoing because we, it, I don't even think there'll be a lifetime where we can get truly free of this. Maybe, right? But we are always working at that, always changing, always growing, always moving from this conditioning place. That's why our wants and desires are gonna change and gonna shift and gonna like maybe, especially as a man gen, people might think I'm everywhere because I'm doing all of these things, but why wouldn't I be if I'm learning who I truly am? And in stepping into the different places, um, it's almost like an unlocking, finding that next thing that I want to do. It just unlocks another part of me, opens up another door to go into the next iteration of who I am. And I know I'm like just talking like very general here, but like how can we decide what we want if we don't really know who we are?
Yeah.
And that's like what life is like really like finding out who we are. And also, too, if you take it back to the purpose, that's why, like, yes, you can have your purpose and you can do this one thing that you do for money, and it's just like the signature thing that you do, but that is not all your purpose is. Your purpose is this lifelong of finding and discovering and realizing who you are and really like allowing yourself to do that without any like judgment, without any like worries about what someone else is going to say or think. It doesn't fucking matter what anyone else says or think. Like, if this is what you want, do it. But you got to know who you are first.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Will you read the quote again?
Yeah, you can't work out what you want until you work out who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, this brings up for me like so much of what you're saying, and I'll especially like women and femmes, like our desires remain really caged. We are
Hmm.
conditioned much of the time to not put our desires first, to put the
Yeah.
desires of others first, and to conform into this person who, yeah, is pleasing, who
Mm,
pleases everyone. So yeah, we're not truly being ourselves. And we do that long enough, or we do it from childhood, and like how would we know who we even are and what we want? But kind of like the first card was saying, like these desires are implanted into our hearts, they're implanted into us, and they are the codes to our purpose, to the
hmm.
life that we're meant to live. So yeah, that deep work of excavation, of saying like, fuck it, I'm going to be who I am, of even like discovering who that is, like that is sacred work
Yeah,
because like these desires are planted into our hearts for our purpose so that we can change the world.
absolutely.
And what is a world full of people who aren't fully like being themselves or being in their truth? What is that? How, we're not like we collectively, we need to get there. And to me, like if we're talking about true desires and the truth of people, which is that we're divine, that's creating heaven on earth.
Hmm.
So can you create heaven within your own being? And like Rashida said, that's not, it doesn't mean it's always easy. Like it's not going to be easy a lot of
Um,
times. Like I was thinking about this concept the other day to digress a little bit, but um, we talk about Kriya or effortless flow that happens when you're in alignment with your Dharma. And like that isn't actually always how I feel. Like, is parenting Gemma the way that I intuitively am feeling to parent her always effortless? Like, no, it can be really hard. So like to pause where I'm at and like make a different decision based on the moment and based on like my long-term vision for our lives rather than like just responding out of conditioning and programming. That's hard to do, you
yeah,
know? It's,
absolutely.
it's part of the work. So yeah, I think like the ease is like finding ease within myself and grace, but there's going to be a lot of work also in unlocking these desires and voicing these desires because you can have these desires, but there's got to be a way that they go from the inside to the outside. So that can take a lot of work. We see so many our own throat chakras, so many women's throat chakras that are blocked. So yeah, there's going to be a whole lot of work, I think, in discovering who you are and then figuring out your desires from there. And that's only step one.
Yeah,
Step
that
two
is
is
just
like, yeah.
that's the beginning.
But it's so worthy. And I know so many people have said this in different ways, but like the purpose of life in general is like source getting to know itself and expressing itself. And it does it through us and through nature and through the universe. And so it's literally like our nature to be
Mhm.
to to self-inquire, to self-discover, and then like we can't just stop there. We got to bring it from the inside to the outside.
But if we're not doing those things, then what makes us any better than I can't even say animals because animals, not that we're better than, but just we quote unquote more intelligent. You would think that, oh, they just, do the things, they follow the same cycle. But no, even animals are inquisitive. Like they want to
Mhm.
know, they want to figure things out. So if we're not even doing that for ourselves,
Yeah.
like what are we doing?
Yeah, I have to tell you, Rashida, like, and this probably is going to sound really judgy, but for me, one of the qualities, I guess I'll put it in the positive. A quality that I'm really attracted to in people and that I think is vital is curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're no longer curious and you are so set in your beliefs, in your viewpoints, in your like how you see life, like, what's the point?
Like why are you even here? Like you're right. Like what is the point? You
Yeah,
have it all figured out. You know what it is, you know what it's not. Then I mean, what's the point in you being here? Truly,
yeah,
on this plane in this physical body, there is no point.
yeah. And let's be really clear. We're not saying like that anyone should not exist or anything like that. We're just saying like curiosity is super
It's like
vital. I think,
vitality, the vitality,
yeah,
yes, to
to the
life,
to the
yes.
human experience. And like, have you ever had a conversation with someone before who like doesn't ask you one question about yourself?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
Thanks. I'm so glad I got to know you. And sometimes it's fine,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's cool, but at the same time, it's like, okay, cool. Great
Okay,
talk.
guess got that all figured out.
Right. That works. I was gonna say, Lauren, when you were talking about like, the point, right? I've
hmm
been really sitting in like what I really feel like like we will not have all the answers, but when
No.
you talked about like source figuring itself out and all the different things, like it really is like that we are all energetic beings. Everything here on this plane is energy. And we're just learning how to interact with everything else, co-create with everything else. And if we're not in that process of creation, I don't always mean like a physical thing, but even like creating, the next iteration of yourself, like it's just like stagnant energy.
Yeah.
You're just not moving and flowing. And like, again, what's the point in being here? And I mean, yeah, you're taking up space, but you're not even really like truly taking up space if you're coming from that place of stagnant energy. So,
Yeah. And I want to add, like, this is why spiritual practices and for me, yoga are so important. Um, I also want to say, like, we are being kind of harsh, on people who aren't very curious, but like we are conditioned to not be as curious as we get older in many different ways, whether it's through the school system, whether it's through our careers, whether it's through religion. Like, um, you see kids, they are naturally curious, to a dangerous point sometimes.
oh yeah, I'm gonna jump off of here in
Yeah.
my socks.
And
No.
in my feeling is probably that we become less and less curious because it feels safer to have
Mm.
that secure knowing. Because I was thinking like I got to keep my 2-year-old safe. So not that I don't want her to be curious, but she's got to learn how some things work and then like have that programmed into her. Like you can't jump off the couch onto your head. It's not going to feel good. But we did an experiment to find out. So I think that like don't if you're listening, I'm sure you're a curious person if you're listening to
If
this,
you're
but if you're
listening,
thinking
yeah.
about someone else, like think about them with compassion because like this happens for a reason, I think. And it's why like people have such life-altering experiences when they take a psychedelic, for instance, like mushrooms, because like suddenly everything feels like you're a little kid and it's brand new and it's joyful again and it's
Mhm.
interesting and you become curious again. That is within us still, but it takes a lot of deconditioning and reprogramming and being present. But going back to the practices, like, as I'm teaching yoga, I'm always reminding people to like stay curious on your mat, like what's happening in your body? Can you approach this awareness with curiosity instead of judgment? Because when we go straight into judgment, we're not curious anymore. We are just saying, this is the way this is. Like, oh, my body can't do this, so it's bad. Just to put it in a really like blunt and simple way, instead of being like, oh wow, why does my body feel this way? Oh, isn't that an interesting sensation that I'm feeling? So we get to practice this in a really safe environment, like on the yoga mat, and then you can take it out into the world with you. Um, I'll also say, oh, gosh, I'm really going on a tangent here, but going back to human design, like the way you're designed, you might be more open-minded or a little bit less open-minded, just depending. So we do need a spectrum of people in this world, like some with a little bit more like more of a grip on reality than
Oh,
others.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
but that doesn't mean you can't be curious.
Right. And I don't, Lauren, I don't think we were being harsh. I think you and I are just very passionate about like the other side of the coin,
Mhm.
right? And it's like we just at this point, I think it's kind of hard to like we can understand and have compassion for it, but I think once you break into that understanding, it's just like really hard to like go back and like see the other side of being in that way.
It can be, but it's so important, because if we wish for everyone to awaken, which we can't force to do, but we have to model compassion,
Mm,
right? And it's easy to point fingers because then we're in judgment, like, oh, this person, like their beliefs are outdated and their beliefs are harmful. And yes, that can be true. But it's like also I'm gonna hold curiosity and compassion in some sort of like faith or hope that they can awaken and change because we all have. Like those of us who have had awakenings or who are more open-minded, are more curious. Many of us started not that way. So,
hmm
um,
Yeah.
th- in order to like hold space for people breaking free from conditioning, we have to stay in that compassionate space for it. And I feel like I'm totally like digressing from the card,
Oh
but
no,
it's an
it's okay.
interesting conversation.
Yeah,
I'd
we
love
can
to
bring it
know,
back. Oh no,
yeah,
go ahead.
what's the question?
Yeah. So the question is, and you kind of touched on it, what practices or rituals do I have that allow me the space and time to reflect?
Mm, yeah, not as many since becoming a mother.
So true.
Yeah, but just really being present, that's the biggest one. So whether it's present while I'm parenting or like, I've told my husband this before, you can see behind me, like we live on this lake and I can look out the window and see the water at any time. But I don't know how many days I have gone without just like not really seeing it, quote unquote. Like,
Mm,
so being able to like awaken to what's around me and spend time with that, like that gives me space. And then like more practically, my daily breath work practice is really important to me and my daily movement practice. And also just making sure I have time every day without like something in my ears, without noise around me.
the input, yeah.
Yeah, so that I can like just shake the etch a sketch and reset. Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I love what you talked about with, being able to like really see like your like and it's something that I did started doing again with Macy and you're like, what do you mean? You always see her, right?
Mhm.
And I do. I see her every day. I get her dressed, we do the hair. Like I am always caring for her. And when she was a baby, I used to just like look at her, like
Mhm.
really just like take it all in. And I realized, with Miles and all the things that I hadn't done that so much. And recently, like my practice has really been like really like taking her in and really feeling in her energy. And you're going to be like, how does that really make you feel like and know who you are? But, it does. It
Mhm.
brings me back to like this point in time here in this moment, taking my daughter in, just feeling how she is in my arms when we're hugging, and even my son. So I do that now, again, I should say. And then I have this practice of just like sitting in stillness for like 2 minutes, sitting in stillness for 2 minutes. And sometimes it might feel like a waste of time. on my end. I never think it's a waste of time afterwards, like when I go throughout my day, because my mind is, going back and forth. But like really just sitting in stillness and like asking myself the question of, am I on my path? And so sometimes different things come up and how things aren't working and how things it doesn't want to be. But the general feeling that I get, and when I think about my emotions and my feelings, I think about like my highest self, like that's how it's communicating with me.
Mhm.
And the general feeling that I get is always that of positivity and happiness. So that is always how I connect back to myself and some of my practices.
I love that so much. So when Gemma was a little baby, I was having postpartum anxiety, just so much going through my mind. And for anyone who's experienced it, it's almost like visualizing all the bad shit happening constantly. And I'm like up at night Googling SIDS and,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
been there.
all that
Done that.
stuff. And so I
Hmm.
developed a like really simple thing I could do to bring me back to the present, which was just like smelling her head, her little baby head.
Oh,
Like
and
just
it
like
smells so
stopping.
good.
Oh my God, yeah, it smelled so good. And it was just, the sweetest, but it was like that reminder to like snap back into the moment. And this also reminded me, I'm tearing up because man, like when you have your kid that you love so much, it can almost be like painful to truly be present with them because when you are like super in the moment with them, you feel this tension, right, between like who they were and like who they're going to be and who they are in this
Hmm.
moment right now. And it's like not going to last. And it's beautiful and it's heartbreaking and it's so, so real. And sometimes it can be easier just to get like distracted and caught up in the day to day than to like be in that tension. Um, and I think we talk about love as this like beautiful, easy breezy thing, but love is heartbreak and love is grief and love is beauty and joy, but it's all of it, all at
Yeah,
once. And our kids are these reminders of what love truly is, right? And when we're truly present with that, like it can be very overwhelming. And I think like being truly present in general can be very, very overwhelming for people and taking those moments in stillness because then we're confronted with the emotions.
right.
And so many of us spend a lot of time like not feeling um, or have developed like protective measures, subconsciously to not feel because we're very sensitive. But man, those feelings are so important. And they're the keys like to our desires and then the
Yeah,
keys to our purpose. But yeah, you can't discover who you are if you are not in touch with your feelings and your true thoughts. And then like the deepest layer, your true, true self, the divine Purusha, it's called like in yoga or the Atman. So yeah, it might seem simple to take 2 minutes or even like, at the moment, like, oh, is this a waste of my time? But it's the most important.
absolutely. I thank you for, really reflecting that back to me because you were so spot on. I think I was telling you a while ago when I realized that Maciana was no longer a toddler. She was this little
Mm.
girl. Like it was just this, and that was like one of those big moments, right?
Yeah,
But you're right. I definitely see how, not being fully present is like a coping mechanism in a way.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And not to mention like hard shit happens in life. And it can, yeah, be a coping mechanism to like distance ourselves from our truth. Um, but it's like what we signed up for.
Yeah. Like we came here with a mission in mind and
Yeah.
we definitely we signed up for it. And I think that's like for me like a saving grace too when times get tough. Not so much
Mhm.
to like bypass anything, but like really be like, I this would not have happened to me if I could not take if I was not willing to willing to take this on and could not get through. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And this is not to like bash anybody or anything like that. A lot of people say, God can never give me too much than I can handle type of saying. And it's like, yes, that's true, but also like you yourself, like you cannot take on anything that you can't get through, I feel like, even if that is also seeking help outside of yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We also don't have to do things alone, and we're not meant to. And I think that's what I love about the work that we do, Lauren, is we don't have all the answers, but just that little bit of like spark and that little bit of energetic shift and that sharing and that little light that we get to spread and doing the things that we want to do can create so many changes for other people. Maybe if they're not in the right place of where they want to be, but that's the importance of really like stepping into ourselves and knowing like we have what it takes to like create even small ripples effect in our world to see the change that we want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to add, like, when we're taking responsibility for our own energy like this and our own self-discovery and purpose, um, it really the change that it makes in the individual, so I'll speak for myself, is like it is so easy for me to let people be who they are,
Mm-hmm.
like truly be who they are, right? Um, and I want to like provide space and grace for that in life. We see so many people trying to control each other and on high levels, like through law enforcement. And we see people who are so lost and isolated and lonely for not getting to be who they are, for feeling like there's something wrong with them. Um, we see so much like sickness in our society due to this like really removal from self and how that affects the individual and how it affects like how the individual is treated by other people who haven't done the work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it creates so much mess and violence and chaos. And this this work is so vital to like awaken the world truly. And I'll just tell anyone like it can hurt to awaken. It can hurt to like really discover your truth and be in it, but it is so freeing. Um, it feels like death, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but the promise after death is rebirth. Ah.
Getting a little deep here, Lauren. We're getting a little deep,
Oh,
which is
that's
fine.
just how we do things.
That is how we do
We're gonna
things.
start off talking about hair and talking about death.
I mean, that's how we roll. I I wanted to share something real
Okay.
quick before we wrapped up. So, for my birthday weekend, I told Daniel that I was deucing out and I got myself a hotel room and just was like allowed myself to be. And I took part in this really cool it was like the spring equinox. It was like a tea ceremony. I'd never been a part of that before. And it was like a sound healing as well after, but really like sitting with the tea spirit. And typically I don't bring my journal, but I did this time to like different places. And I did this time. And I was allowed to let things come after, you sat with the tea. We drank 6 cups of tea. You sat with it, and then you were just allowed to like have whatever come through. And man, Lauren, did so much stuff come through. But there was one in particular that I just wanted to share. And I hope like it makes sense because I almost feel like it's like kind of what we're talking about. And like I said, I was just channeling writing. So I'm just gonna say it and hopefully it comes together. Okay, so what came through was light will always prevail. There can never be enough darkness. We will face many dark moments and must. We must learn to lean into the dark as we learn to embrace our light. There is not one without the other. Now is the dawn from the darkness of winter, and we wake. We move, we stretch, laugh, and dance. We love and make love to honor the new light within us and without. Let go of expectation this equinox. Allow yourself to breathe deeply into your light and watch your world transform.
Mm. You're a poet, girl.
Girl, I was like, okay, tea, thanks.
The
But
tea gave
yeah,
you the tea.
the tea gave me the tea. And it was just, by the end of that ceremony, it was just so peaceful. And I think it's just going back to like what we're talking about, like doing the work, digging in, finding out ourselves, stepping into our purpose. Like it does bring up like the shadow side, the darkness of all the things of who we are. But there's always that light. You are always going to have the light. And not only is the light outside of us from the other people, but the light within. Like there cannot be enough darkness to like turn that light out.
No.
So, yeah.
Mm. Love you, girl.
Love you too. This has been awesome. So great to be able to just step into this with you. And your wisdom is always so needed, Lauren.
Same,
Thank you for
same.
being here.
Ditto. And yeah, I love you. We gotta go because I'm gonna go get a massage.
Whoop, whoop. All right,
So
bestie, talk to you soon.
excited. All right, talk soon. Thanks everyone for listening. And if you answer the questions and want to share them with us, come to our Instagram and let us know how you're feeling.
Yeah,
We want to know.
we do. We love having conversations.
Yes, obviously.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us for this incredible episode. If you loved it, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and tell all your besties about us.
You can also connect with us on Instagram at Your Spiritual Besties Podcast. And be sure to say hello and share your thoughts about the episode. Love you, bestie. Talk soon.